Hi everyone, Chantel Powers here. Welcome to week 5. For my dissertation research, I've been digging into the role that Black women played in grassroots civil rights organizing from 1945 to 1975. I used the America History and Life with Full Text database through the Jerry Falwell Library, and I've got to say it was super helpful. One thing I appreciated right away was the ability to filter by full text availability, historical period, and publication date. At first, I searched Women's Civil Rights Movement and set it to just show articles from the past 5 years, but that only gave me 5 results. Now, once I removed the date filter, I ended up with 64 articles, and that's when things really opened up for me. I found some great resources that helped me better understand the impact Black women had on civil rights at the local level. One article that really stood out was by Martha Lott, and it was called The Relationship Between the Invisibility of African American Women in the Civil Rights Movement of the 1950s and 1960s and Their Portrayal in Modern Film. It was published in the Journal of Black Studies in 2017. Lott's approach was to analyze popular films like Selma and the Butler to see how or if Black women were represented. Her methodology was a comparative content analysis, and what she found was pretty disappointing, but not at all surprising. These women were either portrayed in the background or left out entirely. And Lott argues that this mirrors the way that history itself has overlooked their work. And she pushes for a shift in how we tell civil rights stories so that women are front and center and not sidelined. Another article I found incredibly valuable was by Catherine Nastrom, and it was titled Down to Now: Memory, Narrative, and Women's Leadership in the Civil Rights Movement in Atlanta, Georgia. This one was originally published in Gender and History back in 1999, but it's still super relevant. Nastrom used oral history interviews. So her methodology focused on gathering firsthand stories from women who were actually doing the work. The content centers on leaders like Dorothy Bolden and Juanita Abernathy. These women weren't just supporting the movement, they were shaping it. What I loved about Nastrom's work is how she shows that memory and storytelling aren't just personal, but it's also political. She concludes that when these women share their stories, they're reclaiming a space in a movement that's often been told through a male's lens. Then I came across another gem by Nico Slate, and this was titled Beauty and Power: Beauticians, the Highlander Folk School, and Women's Professional Networks in the Civil Rights Movement. It was published in the Journal of Social History in 2022. So this one had a fresh angle to it. Slate looked at beauticians, yes, beauticians, as powerful organizers. His methodology included archival research and biographical studies. And he found that these women weren't yet used their shops and social networks as organizing hubs. They weren't just in there doing hair. They were empowering their communities and connecting people to training centers like the Highlander Folk School. Slate also argues that these petitions, often overlooked in traditional histories, were actually key players in mobilizing change from the ground up. So, across all these articles, the theme is clear. Black women were never on the sidelines. Whether through activism, storytelling, or professional influence, they were building networks, leading efforts, and transforming their communities. These scholars help fill in the gaps that have been left in mainstream history. They're giving me such a strong foundation for my dissertation. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you have a great week.